everyone, and welcome to this session. One of the thoughts that I've had for the end of this year and going forward, that I thought would be really good. We've got so much talent and so many people doing different things within the membership, to profile people within the membership so you can all get to know each other a bit more, so we can do more of that learning from each other and just seeing what everybody else is doing. And so today I am really pleased to be speaking to the two guys that you're going to meet, Paulo and Ash. I have actually no. I mean, how long have we actually known each other? It's been a little while. Time's really flown, I think. Um,
1 year.
it's been a year. Yes, it's actually been a while. So yeah, I've actually known them for a while now, and we've been at loads of events together. And actually, I would say for the physical events that both of you are actually two of the early supporters. I like to call you the core members. So it's just great to have you here. And as soon as I sort of heard about what you were doing, what you're doing together, I knew that it would make an interesting session. I knew I had to have you guys like talk and share it, because I just thought it would be really useful for other people to hear as well. So obviously I already know, but so everybody else can know, like, how do you both describe yourselves in your role, like what in your professional roles in music?
I'm a music producer and I just, make music. And unfortunately, I also have to make content because of that, which is the modern day roles that you're given.
Yeah. And you, Paulo?
Sorry, am I working again? Because my internet broke.
You're
There's
back.
always one. There's always one.
There is always, it's so true. There's always one. Yes, you're back. You didn't hear the question, did you?
Right. So like the question is like what I do, right?
Exactly. Yay. See, he's here for a reason. Yeah.
So I'm an artist manager right now. Well, I'm managing Sound Junkies, where Ash is part of, and I'm also like studying music business. So I'm also developing my knowledge within the industry and further on see how it goes.
So a little bit like about your origin stories, and obviously it'll be different because you've started working together more recently, but kind of like Ash, what's got you to this point? So, where did it start for you? How long have you been doing it? That kind of thing.
I probably started in 2014, 13. Started to get into it through actually the Asian industry. A lot of my friends are Asian music producers and they just were doing it, and I slowly got sucked in and reluctantly started to become a producer. That wasn't initially my goal. And then I started to ghost produce for a lot of like a few mainstream artists and just working in the industry there. And had a previous management who used to give us artists every now and again. Then I took a break in 2017 and then came back in 2019.
Okay. So over the whole period, how long would you say you've been doing it? And
I would say like full time, 5 years. Oh no, take away the gap, it's probably 4 years.
okay. Yeah, so decent amount of time. And what's that journey looked like for you? I mean, I know how it is in music. Yeah, I was gonna say it's an up and down, but yeah, what's that up and down been like?
It's just you have to either give up or carry on grinding. Simple as. There's just uh, I I can walk away from it thinking, you know what, I've done quite a bit that I'm proud of, but it's still, you feel it's like an addiction. You need to carry on until you get to where you want it.
Yeah. And they say, don't they, it's a little bit cliche, but actually it's the only way you can fail is when you stop. You, until that point, you haven't. You're just like, even if it's a setback, it's just the lesson, and then you keep going. So yeah, maybe it's part of that. And Paolo, what about you? Like, how long have you been doing it? How far are you into your studies? What's your journey been like?
My background is actually I was a live sound engineer before. So in Switzerland, that was kind of like my full-time job. I was doing like 3 to 4 gigs a week. It was way more stable than being a manager.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, because like I was working for a school for a jazz club here, and then I did a couple of gigs like for bands. So yeah, on that side, to me, it was very it was more sustainable financially. However, what I enjoyed actually what I ended up doing more is organizing it, because as a sound engineer, I want my gigs to be perfect as well. So I ended up being in touch with the organization team. Um, like sorry, am I back now?
I knew you were going to say that. Yeah, you are.
But like,
never
yeah,
left.
so I well, sorry. Do you
You're
guys mind if
good.
I just like pause? Like, let me just like go downstairs because like I have a better Wi-Fi there, if that's all
No
right.
problem. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, because I think like right now it's a bit.
Paulo was a sound engineer and he left at the perfect time.
Yeah, so in terms of my background, in Switzerland, well, first of all, over there I studied production, and then I ended up working as a live sound engineer. Um, did that full time for maybe 2 3 years, and I was doing around 3 to 4 gigs a year, which actually gave me my experience within the live industry. And then what happened is I ended up more organizing the gigs myself, because some of the organizations were so bad and it stressed me so much that I decided, like, you know what, I need to do it myself. So from there on, I got more in touch with the bands, with the organization, and that's when I realized that I actually prefer management more than just doing live. And because I wanted to see how far I can go, that's why I moved to London, doing more like specifically doing my degree in music business and at the same time managing outside as well.
Very cool. And so, okay, so what drew you to start working with each other, and how did you meet?
To be honest, I don't know how I came to 30 plus one. I if I'm being honest, somehow I got signed up to 30 plus one's email, and I'm not sure how that
You trying to say
happened.
I spammed you?
I don't know, because we kind of had like a friend helping us out at that time, so I just presumed it was for her. And then one day I just got an email in like November last year, and I was like, oh, there's a managers meetup, and I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna go down. So I traveled, oh god, 125 miles down to I think was it West Acton
It was in,
or
yeah, like Willesden.
yeah,
Yeah, like
and I was
Willesden Acton border. Yeah.
just thinking, where the fuck am I?
Middle
Because
of nowhere.
there was huge roadworks in Acton at the time. So I think I was an hour late, and there was no parking spaces. That's West London for you. Got there, and it was just like, I got into this like weird building that just looked like a hotel, but it wasn't a hotel. And then yeah, there's a little conference room. I was like, yeah, okay. So yeah, and in that first meeting, there were a couple of people. I went in there specifically thinking, all right, I want a manager or meet songwriters. And in that first meeting, I think I met both. Yeah, and I was like thinking, okay, Paolo, he's very young, but he's enthusiastic. He's passionate. Yeah, and I like his attitude. Total opposite of mine. So yeah.
Okay, yeah, no, that's good. And actually, probably a question for you both actually is, I mean, like I said, I still want to hear, like, maybe Paolo as well from you, like what made you want to work with Ash. But actually, a question for you both is, what do you feel kind of makes it work between you two as well? And maybe it is that opposite thing, or I don't know, or bringing different things to the table. But
Um, like for me, because you know, with managers or with artists, sometimes you just meet a lot of people, but you don't know how reliable or how serious they are in their projects. So yeah, so when I went to 30 plus one, I was just there like, let's see what what they have to say and see how it goes. And then Ash, I remember, well, Ash, you were the one who was actually like very frequent in terms of coming to the 30 plus one
Yeah.
event. So I think like we've been to like 2 or 3 events together before we properly like talk
Started
about
man.
it. Yeah, and then lockdown happened. So like yeah, we didn't kept in touch or anything. But like you released your track actually, which is Punching Soup. And for me, that's what made the difference because I thought like, oh, actually sick. This track is actually great because I liked the it's like yeah the impact of the track and like the straightforwardness of it because I was thinking like okay you know when especially with dance music you need in that genre of music you need something that kind of like aims you straight away, which is like you know a conversation that we had as well like regarding music because I think that that's something that I understood or that I heard within your music, and for me that was the turning point like oh okay, let's see like let's see how far I can go with it and how I can push this project as well. So yeah, that was a turning point to me. I think what makes like the partnership works, I think it's just like we want to do something together. It's simple as that. Because yeah, the fact that we are very different, because Sound Junkie is actually like two producers, so Ash here, and then there's also TL. TL is also a totally different personality to Ash, which is actually great because it kind of like complements themselves. But the three of us, I mean yeah, in my opinion we're all very different, but it's just like you have that will to bring the project further because I know like I'm not one of the nicest managers out there. I'm quite sometimes like it can be like very very strict. So sometimes like yeah, like I think about it as well like oh am I going like really far and everything, but I think it's just like because you have the will to push the project further, that's what makes sense, and I think that's what drives or that's why it's still going on because yeah it is tough, it's never perfect, but you know we're still here.
Yeah, exactly. And do you know, I was a little bit when you said the tough bit. I at first my original thing was like, oh, that's a surprise. But actually, in thinking of what I know of you, I'm actually that it actually isn't a surprise that you'd be like that as a manager, like quite like focused on getting things done and making sure that it
Yeah.
happens 100%. I like to think of myself as nice, but I don't know that my artist would say the same. If yeah. Yeah, we'll definitely have to ask them one day. Um, so just going back a little bit, because I'm thinking what could be quite useful for people, one of the questions, and you guys might have even been at some of the meetings where some of this has come up for people, is like, so I'm a new manager, I haven't got that much experience. How do I find the people that I want to work with? So in turn, for you, Paolo, it will be like thinking about that initial, so like how did your conversation, how did it actually happen? So I know obviously you guys met at a meetup, you said you sort of kept seeing each other and then you eventually started speaking, but how did it actually, like what actually happened in that conversation where you
At the time,
yeah.
I had a list of managers that I wanted to work with, and yeah, most of them were established managers. But then I just Paolo sent me a message during our first release of that year, which was Punching Soup, and he was just like, "Yeah, I love the track, I love the vibe, especially the video." So I was like, "Oh, okay." So then I just phoned him, and I was speaking to my co-producer, and he was just like, "You know what? We can go with the established route or our old managers, but having someone young and also just passionate and enthusiastic will make a huge difference than going with someone established and you being one of the many of roster." So yeah.
And you know, I've heard that from artists before in weighing up about management. And I've had an artist say to me, actually one that was fairly established, saying that they'd rather have a manager who was enthusiastic, in love with the music, so passionate about what they were doing. They would trade that off for one who's like years of experience and loads of contacts and stuff. They would actually trade that off because it makes such a difference. So it's interesting that you say that as well, because I've actually heard that from a couple of artists before.
No, because we've had like plenty of managers. We've had our old management. We have a good relationship. Is one of the biggest or hottest management companies in the UK. We've worked with one of the other managers that we worked with, who we had a very bad experience with, was a manager who managed one of the biggest artists in that genre. Sometimes it just depends on the person and also how much passion they have for it and their motives. You
And
want someone that wants to grow with you.
Yeah, absolutely. And Paolo, like when you reached out, was it your aim to start working with Ash, or were you like what was your intent? What was that part of the process? Is that how people can try and, you know, if they're trying to establish a roster and they're a new manager, is that part of it?
No, not really. I mean, I messaged Ash just like saying like, yeah, I really like your music. Like, there was no intention behind it. But in terms of how I choose my acts,
Mm.
I mean, it's weird. Like the way I choose is I want to manage an artist who doesn't need a manager. Actually, it's weird, but that's how I think because if an artist doesn't need a manager, like the artist is already like doing like mostly everything and he's very hands on, and I need someone who's very hands on in their project because I'm not going to make the decision for themselves, especially artistically, because it's not my job as a manager. And I've had a few, like my previous management experience was I was also like have to make the creative decision, and and that's where I'm like, dude, this is going way too far. This you're demanding a lot now. So I prefer like to choose an artist who knows what they're doing straight on, and who is actually like hands on as well on their project, and up to the point that they don't need a manager, because it just makes my, not that it makes my job easy, but I know in which direction I'm going because they're driving the whole thing as well. So for me it's just easier to help them out and to guide them more in like in a better direction. So I'm more attracted to those kinds of artists, and at one point they'll, I think that they'll also like come to you because there will be a point that it's going to be too much for them, and then they will, if you're there showing interest in them, then for sure they will seek you out. Because most of the artists that I manage right now, I didn't make the first step. It's mostly them.
Yeah.
Because but yeah, I mean, I was just genuinely interested in their music, and every artist that I like, I always tell them like, hey, if you need some help, just like let me know. I might give you some tips here and there without, without any thought behind it. But there's always a point that they will need a manager, and if I'm the right person that they think of, then cool, and then if not, then I will support and I will listen to their music anyways. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of like how I choose my acts.
Yeah. I'm more or less the same as well in terms of the criteria that for artists that I work with. I like how you put that you know it's like the artists that almost don't need a manager, but for me it's always about, I always say I only work with artists that are already working like twice as hard as I am, because it's like then you know what their intention is, their work ethic, their drive, like it just, you know, it makes such a big difference. So, and also I do the same with with the help. I mean, if I meet an artist and they're doing something or they're working really hard, I do the same with no intent. We'll say, oh, if I can help you with anything or whatever. But you're right, actually, that's a good thing if people are thinking of building one, just to be there to get to know people, to genuinely be available to support projects and things like that. And you just never know how that can manifest and how that works. Has there been any surprises, either good or bad, or like, you know, things that you didn't expect that happened since you guys have been working together? And actually, do you know what? Park that question for a bit because I feel like we have to go back because there's one bit I've missed. How is it actually going? So how is it? I've assumed it's going well, and I mean, I hope none of you are going to make this awkward, but yeah.
No, like in my opinion, it is like, then again, it's one of those things like I've talked about this with a lot of my tutors as well, and a lot of lecturers that I have who are actually like more established than I am. And one common thread that I've realized with all of them successful people is like they're willing to have those hard conversations sometimes regarding management or music. And the thing is, sometimes like it makes you uncomfortable because I talk about it with my lecturers most of the time. Like I'm uncomfortable about talking about, this specific topic regarding music, promo, or direction because it's very personal. It's very identity, especially towards the artist, and to me as well, because that's where I'm focusing my time. And yeah, I think because we are kind of like open to those hard discussions, it's going well. I mean, it's not the easiest, but because of there's progress in that regard, in my opinion, it's going well.
No, 100%.
Ooh, phew. Okay, glad you both said that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's cool. And oh, and a quick one is, do you guys have a formal arrangement? Because there's sort of arguments on both ways about contracts or no contracts, and I just wondered, and you obviously don't need to share the details of it with us, but do you have a formal arrangement, or how do you decide who does what, or like, Paulo, what your responsibilities are and that kind of thing?
It's like when I started, I don't put myself to that kind of limits, because like I need to fully understand how the artist works and how the collaboration is going on before you put those details. Like right now, I think it took me actually a lot of time to get to know Ash and TL. So like right now, like we've had like a verbal agreement at the beginning, but in my opinion as well, like there comes a point that it needs to become serious. So I mean, the direct answer of your conversation is we have a verbal agreement.
Yeah.
However, I know that in my head, it's always like, hey, when are you going to like slowly introduce that topic as well?
Yeah, that makes total sense. Yeah, and I feel like that's the natural progression of it as well. That's how I would, but I know every manager works, every relationship works differently, but yeah, that's interesting to hear. So yeah, any surprises, and then I guess ending up in terms of what, then I just want to hear about everything that you guys are doing and what you're working on and what's happening.
Any surprises so far? I wouldn't say so. The only issue that we have is basically because I'm also a carer. That sometimes takes a lot of my time.
Yeah.
And then lockdown has been tough, especially that's the surprise of 2020. Yeah. So
Everyone's
I've
big.
only actually seen Paulo this year twice. Yeah, so that's the surprise, I would say.
On
Anything for
my
you?
side, were there any surprises? I mean, not really. Like it's a slow progress, but the thing is, you see the progress. Um, as Ash said, lockdown doesn't make it easy, but I think we kind of make it work. Like from the Zoom meetings to like the phone calls and from the emails, I think it's going well. It's just like as a manager in my head right now, how can you improve that? How can you make it better? It's just tough, but I think that's every manager's job to think about those issues and find solutions to them. But yeah, I think that's where we at right now.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think it is a cliche answer, it's blaming lockdown. But that whole, I was even talking to my co-producer, who I've only seen like twice this year as well in person, and he lives like 5 miles down the road. Part of the problem is Zoom meetings are great and they're good, but you know sometimes when you're with that person, it just drives an energy within yourselves that even after you finish that meeting and you're just chilling out, sometimes you just come up with something really organically, or it just drives you a bit further, takes you out of your space. It's like, how do you separate home life and work life? I think that's the struggle we all have.
Yeah, a very difficult one. And I think you're right, there's as good as all this tech has been in terms of keeping us all connected, that there is something about the physical meet that it doesn't quite replace.
Yeah, I would say that's definitely for artist creativity as well. With my co-producer, is like right now we're constantly sending stuff back and forth. It's just basically like mail. But when you're together, sometimes it just sparks off something that you never would have expected.
Yeah.
You can capture something straight away.
Yeah, hopefully. And I know you're up your side, you've been in a lockdown. It's been a real extended period, hasn't it? I know everyone's smiling, but yeah, it's been.
Well, for us, we've only been out of lockdown for myself from 1st of August till October. So about 6 weeks, I would say.
Oh, okay.
About 8 weeks. But for Leicester, they've had 4 days. And our local studio is Leicester, so we haven't even been able to go. Yeah, that's 4 days since March. So yeah, it's been tough for them. But like, hopefully, vaccines coming. I'm hoping to get the vaccine within the next month. So
Okay.
that
Yeah. So yeah, hopefully. I mean, I think we've all got our fingers crossed that things things are going to change very soon, and that we're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. But yeah, I'm excited to. I've heard like a little bit of when we were like setting up stuff that you guys are talking about amongst yourselves. But like, what are you doing at the moment, and what are you working on? What have you been doing? What's next?
We're always constantly working on new music, looking for songwriters as ever, just trying to collaborate with. But at the moment, we're focusing on just basically developing a live platform online because yeah, even though the vaccine's coming, we don't know when live gigs are going to go back to normal. So we're just developing a Twitch channel at the moment. First, starting off with games, hopefully get that sorted out, and then move on to live shows.
Okay. So I don't know. I mean, I kind of know about Twitch, but I'm not like a Twitcher, if that's the word. So is it going to be you, Ash, then? Just
me and some of my friends, me and my co-producer, definitely. Just first, we're just starting off with games because strangely, our inspiration for music came from video games. It was just like, yeah, the 90s, you were only allowed like 3 sounds on a video game. And so they had to be really creative with how they would show music in the video games in the 90s. So yeah, that kind of captured our imagination at a young age. So we've always had that relationship with music and video games. So we just thought, you know what, we'll try and incorporate that with our Twitch channel. And yeah, I've got some of my old retro games, and I just thought, let's just see what it's like to play them and see if there's an audience.
Love that. I love that. It's so good as well. And I think a bit of this time, a bit of what that's done is made people, especially artists, sort of explore the ways that they promote different parts of themselves or join those dots as well, which actually I think everyone would have been a good idea is a good idea for everyone to do anyway, irrespective of lockdown or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of people pivot to it, not just musicians or singers or artists. I've seen comedians. Yeah, it's even politicians on Twitch.
Wow.
It's just at the moment, it's the latest thing on social. It's like the latest social media platform. It's been around for ages, but it's just like because we're forced at home, and I think we're all sick of the same crap on TV. Because I think we've pretty much completed Netflix
Everything.
and the first
completed it. Yeah, I've completed Netflix. Completed
it. So then it's like we're on Disney Plus. Let's just try and see real people for a change and like interact with them. I think that's why like I don't know if you like Versus has become big. It's just yeah, we want to find music, and normally it was with the gigs, but it's just we can't go out at the moment.
Yeah. What about what's next, Paulo? Maybe that's a question for you. Like, what are you up to next? What's on the horizon?
I mean, in terms of like regarding Sound Junkies, this is like it's not like one of our discussions, but one of the strong points that I was pushing is like I was pushing Ash and Touch to just like look how they are as a person regarding their music and promo. And that's when actually Twitch and video games came out as a response to those conversations. Because like I think like the strategy that we had before didn't actually work out towards their music. And I was thinking of something like, especially right now during lockdown, you don't have much opportunities, but what works with your personality? And especially the conversation that we had like regarding social media, you guys are not very active on social media, but
No, we hate it.
but like you guys are like on playing video games. So technically I was just like, you know what, I think that's just our route in terms of developing an audience, a platform. music as well. Let's just like go that way. And it's in actually, in my opinion, right now, it's more of a no-brainer. Actually, every time that we talk about Twitch, it's just so easy. So in my head, okay, so that's like the perfect strategy to grow right now. And there's a possibility of income as well on Twitch. So that's not to neglect. But then again, I'm also managing another artist. For her, it's totally different because she's a songwriter. But same perspective. I had a chat with her, like, what do you want to do? And then for her, it's mostly songwriting and getting sync opportunities actually. And since she's done a lot of stuff here in Switzerland, we just like got in touch with our network here, and a lot of people are actually interested in her music to sync like in TV stations or in TV shows. So yeah, it's one of those things, like you just have, like, as a manager, you just have to think about it, like your promotion differently, and look at
I
it
think
also from the artist's perspective, because they'll drive their strategy. I mean, they don't think about their strategy, but like the way they talk, they will lead you in what strategy to use and do. You just have to listen and just like say it to them out loud, because a lot of them are stubborn about it. But yeah.
I think what happened was Paulo saw me and my co-producer constantly arguing during our interviews and thought, you know what, I need to record this. We need a platform to basically push this out because this is hilarious. And he was like, that's it, let's go with Twitch.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the truth. And for us, it was like, because he's just become a dad and I'm a carer, it was like, you know what, playing video games sounds like the perfect escape from what's happening right now. So yeah, we were like, all right then, arguing on camera, we're down for that.
Like, yeah, it's just like one of those things that you realize, because like when you spend so much time and when you talk to people, you get to know them, but you get to see what they're doing wrong as well regarding their personality. Because for example, like the content that we were putting out before, in my head, it was like this doesn't correlate with your personality or what you want to portray. And it's only when yeah, like when we started like talking about, I think, like video games and stuff like that, or even like those petty arguments, like I think this is the type of content that works for you guys. It's not the one that we did before, because I think like maybe that's was your experience with with your previous management or within the music industry in general. But in my opinion, like that didn't show who you guys were. In my head, it's like, okay, this is who you really are, but like, how do you put it out? And that's when, like, yeah, when we started having that discussion about Twitch, like, it's very obvious, because the content that you maybe do on Twitch, etc., will just like reflect on it. Like, we can like rebound it on other social media channels as well. So yeah.
Oh, so totally logical, and yeah, building that strong narrative and then kind of seeing how you deliver it essentially, which is really cool. Okay, so if people want to find out more about you both or even get in contact, how do they do that?
Just follow us at Sound Junkies, and Sound Junkies with links probably in the description below, I hope.
Yeah, I'll link you. I'll do all the links.
And yeah, just reach out to us, and if you click on the link, you'll probably see some of our previous tracks. And if you go to our YouTube page, you can see our old previous collaborations as well. Yeah, some of them were big.
Oh, okay. So you've been holding back. Okay, cool. So that'll be cool for people to find out. Perfect. Okay, anything else you guys want to say as like ending words, or?
Yeah, just message them if you want to play video games, or if you want to live stream on Twitch. They'll be
Yeah.
open for collab over there.
And yeah, you know what? We'll get Paulo in during one of these video games, because sometimes, yeah, it was when he gets angry, it's hilarious.
I told you, Mario Kart, mate. Mario Kart.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Who knows? I might even try and get involved. I don't know. I don't think I'm.
Paulo out. His link will be in the description as well.
Oh yeah, 100%. I'll at you both. Okay, cool. Okay, well, thanks, guys, and yeah, we'll definitely see each other soon.